these narcissists, they rather break the law than admit the truth that is right in front of their face, that has been there all along. They don't want to be wrong. They don't want to be the ones held accountable. They cannot take accountability and responsibility. So what they do instead is that they avoid the truth as much as possible, even if it takes for them to abuse you and break the law constantly, over and over and over again. Even for years, they can be going on, breaking the law and thinking like, oh, I can just get away with this. I won't get my karma, I just get what I want. And especially if you are a sensitive empath, highly sensitive person, they want to turn your sensitivity, your rights, your normal opinions, your human feelings, which are humane, which are completely natural and normal for you to have, that you have to have within you, because you need to be yourself authentically. So what they will do is they will always try to deny your truth and your feelings, like you are not allowed to have those normal, healthy, humane feelings. Like you're not allowed to get angry or become sad, for example, when you feel triggered and attacked by them. They will always want to have the upper hand, the control over the situation, whatever it is that you are having with these people. And so this is what can happen, especially if you're dealing with narcissistic authority figures, narcissistic authorities, with someone who has power in their profession. But of course, as an empath, highly sensitive person, especially as a woman, your intuition can be so strong that you can feel the truth. You sense the reality of the situation before it can get any further. You see it in their voice, in their energy, in how they are treating you. Are they really being authentic? Are they being respectful? Are they being empathetic, understanding, compassionate? Do they have emotional intelligence? Do they take accountability? But yes, they can keep on tormenting you for years, ignore your wishes, your opinions, your rights, your boundaries, whatever it is that you're trying to communicate to them. But they will intentionally ignore all of that. It doesn't matter how many emails or messages you are sending, trying to call them, trying to hold them accountable, trying to talk some sense into them, trying to make them hear you and treat you with respect and empathy, which is the least that they should do and everyone should do. It is the bare minimum. We cannot function without normal respect towards one another. And so it's no wonder when you feel like they're just playing with your mental and even physical health, because this is always attacking your entire body, your mind, your soul, the spirit that you are. It's attacking you in so many ways. And you can be so hurt and so exhausted. And I've been there so many times in my life, I cannot even count. And so this is why it's so important for me to talk about these issues, to bring them up into the public as much as I can, because we need to have awareness of these people, of domestic violence. It does not limit itself to only romantic relationships. When it's your parents, it's whoever, it can be anyone. So of course, naturally, it is very, it's a lot more difficult situation if it's your landlord, if it's a noisy neighbor threatening you, for example, and keeping you awake at night so that you're tired and exhausted and like crying, like, what can I do? And nobody's listening to me. As chosen ones, we can go through so many of these situations, apparently, and we need and deserve support. Yes, of course, we always need to pray. Of course, yes, listen to God, talk to God, give it to God. Have God's armor, have God's glory and victory and love and compassion and empathy, because, you know, if it's not coming from people, it has to come from Father God. And so, again, this is why we need the connection with our Creator. We cannot lean on to this world with these people who can be so selfish and toxic and demonic. Very, very immature. It is, again, not a healthy sign in a person if they cannot take normal and healthy responsibility and accountability of their actions. And what they do is they twist and turn the lie into a truth and your truth into a lie, and they just keep on going and going and going and acting like nothing has happened when they have been destroying you and your mental and physical health all along, and maybe even for freaking years, 10 years, a decade, 15 years, 20 years, whatever. And so their manipulation also can be so subtle that you won't necessarily even notice it or recognize it, even though you need to, and you need to be able to trust yourself and your intuition, your discernment. Yes, but these can take practice, especially if you've gone through already so much bullying and abuse ever since childhood as a sensitive person, and if you had narcissistic parents, even more so. It can be harder, I would say, at least from my own personal experience, when I had to understand myself alone, with no support, with people turning their backs on me when I tried to seek for help. They did not understand. They didn't show me any empathy or understanding when I was trying to communicate my emergencies to them regarding these situations. And yes, they can also gang up on you, like, for example, these narcissistic authorities, or, these narcissistic people who just come basically out of nowhere when you try to seek for help and support. Maybe you are calling some phone line, to talk to somebody, and instead of helping you, they attack you and they make your trauma worse. They cause you that trauma reaction. So this is very severely hurtful. It is psychological abuse. It is not acceptable. So we always need to remember that we do not need to allow this treatment. We have to claim our human worth to be treated normally with respect, and not like we are doormats and punching bags. So what they usually will do is they twist and turn all your sensitive feelings, your trust, against you. Like, you are not allowed to have those feelings, your opinions. You're not allowed to be yourself. You are considered to be a problem. If you try to stand up for yourself and speak your truth, even more so, they will try to attack you even more, to silence you, to make you feel crazy, to make you lose your mental and physical health. And that is really what I've painfully learned and discovered. That is the ultimate plan. And so this is why we need our faith and inner strength even more. And I've gone through this painful path. If you need more help and support, if this resonates, buy my self-help book, and I would love to help you in a one-on-one call. Nobody should ever exploit any empathy and sensitivity and normal feelings. It is just so demonic. And these people, they will just do that without blinking an eye. They are programmed that way. It's what I really have learned and discovered the hard way. that's in these moments, in these dark moments when I have been so much in pain, scared, depressed, in that dark place without no real support. And even if I tried to seek support, I got nothing. So it is tough. And so in the end, they don't give you any other option. So if you don't want to give in to them and their toxic ways, their toxic negative energy, ill will, ill intentions, breaking the law, all the gaslighting, the manipulation, whatever it's been, threatening you, smear campaigning you, whatever it is that they've done, because they can do so many tricks. So in the end, when you come to your breaking point, you have two choices. Either you keep on putting up with that bullshit, which of course you should not be doing, or you stand up for yourself even more. And one thing I want to add about them is that they love that conflict. They love that power struggle. They love to see you hurt. They enjoy seeing you hurt. And so this is why it's so important for us to protect our mental and physical health, our inner peace, empowerment. Protect your peace. It is such an important statement because your nervous system needs your healthy boundaries. It needs you to be peaceful. You cannot heal in chaos. I've been saying that many times, and it is a powerful fact and a truth. You cannot heal if there's always toxic energy and these attacks against you. They will always try to turn everything against you. And once again, I think and feel I always felt when I did not understand what was going on. Naturally, as a child, as a teenager, it was difficult for me to understand all of this as a sensitive person. When I didn't know anything about myself or about the world, really, it was difficult for me to understand why these people attacked me and bullied me and what they want from me. So yeah, it's been such a painful journey of learning and discovering things, finding things out, digging out the truth. And so I cannot even count how many days I've been spending with this process. But yeah, some people will never heal. They don't want to grow. They don't want to learn. They don't want to evolve. They don't want to take accountability and responsibility, and they don't want to face the truth that they have been, for example, breaking the law in the profession where they're not supposed to be acting that way. I think generally even breaking the law, in general is wrong. And because I'm very into justice and very against all kinds of cruelty and wrongdoing, because I'm an earth angel and I speak and stand for truth and justice and peace and healing. And so this is why, everything about everything that I talk about, it is always very personal and very deep for me to talk about. And as much as we can know that we might be recreating our past history, our childhood trauma issues, for example, in our lives, there is also the fact that we cannot blame ourselves, especially when you've gone through such trauma and abuse. You cannot carry those issues with you, that you have been a container for other people's pain and trauma and issues, and that is why you have become so hurt and depressed, for example. So, of course, this is very contradictory that this happens, and so I don't care, how, whatever happens, and you can be very healed, but toxic is still toxic. So these people, because they don't experience shame or remorse or guilt in the way that we can feel as sensitive, empaths, highly sensitive people, especially if we're triggered into reacting to old trauma issues, childhood trauma. So they do not experience these sorts of feelings in the same way, in such a deep, profound manner. And I think it's one aspect that makes it so hurtful and toxic and crazy, that they rather create those conflicts and be blame shifting, gaslighting, manipulating, using that coercive control, reactive abuse against us, that they can just silence us and basically have us be their puppets, that they can be the puppet master. And it's also very tiring to always feel like you are someone's babysitter, or, that you need to watch how someone is acting towards you, how they're treating you, and like you are their teacher, coach, or therapist, or, mother or father figure, for example. We're not supposed to be those for other people, especially when they are being toxic and attacking us. There is not an excuse to always be in that position, that you always need to be the one who's smarter and wiser and stronger and be like their parent. But, because they are being a toddler within. So this can create that. But yeah, we have to be doing what we have to do. We have to expose this bullshit, and that is what I'm doing on my part. Well, I'm also helping and serving my people, sensitive, kind earth angels, starseeds, chosen ones of God, like myself, empaths, highly sensitive people. Especially when we're sensitive women, we have to honor ourselves and not beat ourselves down because someone is having issues with us. Of course, it's always the other person's reflection and projection an issue if they are, first of all, being very negative, and they have a negative tone of voice, for example, and, negative energy. These things are easily noticed if we just pay attention to them, and we should pay attention to them.